Minister, I have to inject some level of reality into this debate here today. Rural Ireland is on its knees. It is suffering significant population decline, predominantly concentrated in the West and Midlands of Ireland, and that continues apace at the moment. And it's calculated that in the last 40 years, 800 electoral divisions have lost population or significantly lost population. And there's been a lopsided spatial policy which has pushed hundreds of thousands of young people, especially into the Dublin area. And the CSO figures themselves state that there is increasing income inequality between the western regions, the northwestern regions, and the rest of the state. So when will this government's policy become more than social welfare for rural Ireland? Minister.
I propose taking question 2 and question 57 together. It's Deputy Tóibín's question and Deputy Ring's question. The Rural Regeneration and Development Fund provides funding for the development and construction of capital projects in towns and villages and rural areas across Ireland. The fund is central to achieving the objective and key deliverables of our rural future, the government's 5-year policy for rural Ireland. At the heart of our rural future is a commitment to revitalising towns and villages all across rural Ireland and making them more attractive places to live, work and raise a family. The projects supported by the fund assist in the regeneration of rural towns and villages by addressing vacancy and dereliction and positioning them for further growth through regeneration and town centre renewal. The fund also invests in strategic projects that contribute to further economic development in rural areas. Calls for applications to the fund are sought under two categories, categories 1 and 2. Category 1 relates to large-scale ambitious capital projects with all necessary planning and other consents in place, which are ready to proceed. Category 2 provides smaller grant funding to enable the development of project proposals suitable for future calls for Category 1 applications. Since the RRDF was established in 2018, funding of €395 million has been approved for 215 projects. When match funding is included, the total value of these projects is worth over €542 million. Since my appointment as Minister for Rural and Community Development in June of 2020, funding of over €100 million has been drawn down from the fund. A table setting out the monthly drawdown since June of 2020 has been attached as an appendix to this response. The delivery of projects funded under the RRDF experienced significant delays due to COVID-19. However, I am pleased to confirm that stronger progress is now being achieved. 30 projects are completed. In addition, a further 81 projects are expected to be completed by the end of the year. A list of the projects for each county scheduled to be completed in 2023 is attached to this response as an appendix for the information of the deputies. I remain committed to ensuring that this vital funding can deliver real and transformative change in towns across rural Ireland. Underlying this is the need to ensure delivery on the ground, and to this end I have outlined to local authorities the priority that I assign to the delivery of these projects, and I have asked my officials to ensure that there is an ongoing process of engagement with local authorities.
Deputy. I don't think you're getting to the nub of the question here at all, Minister, and this is the issue. The EU have downgraded the North West region as a lagging issue. The EU have said, as a result of falling GDP per capita in those areas to the rest of the country, that places like Galway, Roscommon, Leitrim, Sligo, Donegal, Monaghan and Mayo faced increasing challenges. And that's happening under your watch, Minister. So we have a GDP falling in these areas, and this is damning. The gap between the North and West region currently and the national average is now estimated to be 3 times higher than it was a decade ago. So what I mean by social welfare for rural Ireland, it means it's not fixing the problem. It's handing out money here and there, but it's not getting to the core issue. Now, I know many people who tell me that their kids actually want to live in those areas but can't get planning permission. So what happens is the schools started to close and the services start to close. I know farmers are leaving the land because the prices are too low to be able to raise families in these locations. And these, the EU said that underinvestment in key infrastructure is actually leading to the cause of regional inequality. So what these areas want, they want good transport infrastructure, good communications infrastructure, education facilities and telecommunications facilities so that they can do business, and that's still missing from the government's plans.
Thank you, Deputy Ring.
First of all, I just want to say that Deputy Tóibín should come down to Mayo maybe tomorrow, where we have a 300 million, the biggest single investment that's going on. The road is actually opening tomorrow between Westport and Castlebar. Allergan, Baxter, Coca-Cola, all these are crying out for people now, looking for them for the workforce. I met principals of schools from every corner of the county now. What's happening? All these areas are expanding. And I disagree with you, because I have to say this. That's always the great line from opposition. The West has been left behind. There was never as many people working and living in rural Ireland than there is now. Never as many people working or living in rural Ireland. And it's time that we spoke up. And the kind of stuff that Minister Humphrey's department is doing has been fantastic over the last number of years. It has, down towns, villages, the rural regeneration scheme, fantastic. In fact, the question I want to ask the Minister now is, state agencies like the Oireachtas, I must compliment them. When I was Minister, and you continued it on, they have set up the GTECs, the jobs in Galway, in Kerry, in Waterford, in Mayo, and happening well. I'm asking the Minister now, could you talk to more state agencies, the leader companies, because some of the local authorities are not actually standing up to the plate. And there's projects and money being allocated by the Minister's department, and that these projects are not being delivered. Not through the fault of the Minister, not through the fault of the department, because some of these people are not doing their jobs. And I'm asking the Minister now to look at other state agencies that could carry out some of these works and maybe allocate the funding through them rather than always the local authorities.
Minister.
Can I just say, just to clarify something, there has been no downgrading of the North and Western region by the EU Commission from a region in transition. This 2018 designation is based on GDP per capita in the region and has been used to calculate European funding allocations for 2021 to 2027. And separately, the EU Parliament's Committee on Regional Development categorised the North West region as a lagging region using a range of other data, such as productivity, education and skills. So they're two different, completely different things, and they're completely separate. Can I just say, Minister Ring, that I agree sometimes projects aren't delivered as quickly as we'd like. We do engage with the local authorities and we have constant contact with them. We were in touch with them again last week. There's a new leader programme coming out, and I think that'll also, it's currently it's out for expressions of interest, and there will be proposals coming in due course. You're right there. Deputy Tóibín should really, I know you're a one-man band in here, but you're a party leader, and you'd want to get out and around the country. And if you went over to Mayo, you'd see the Dome, and I can tell you that's some place. And it's outside Claremorris, and I have to say Deputy Ring knows it well. That was funded under the Rural Regeneration Scheme. It's a fantastic project. And then you'd be very welcome to come up to Ballyaborough, where you have a councillor there, Deputy, and she will show you some of the wonderful investments that have happened in Ballyaborough, particularly around the renovation of the old courthouse.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy.
Just Deputy Ring, if I was representing a county that was downgraded by the EU to a lagging area, I would be furious with the approach that the government is involved in. That's the first and second. The second issue here as well is the average age now in many towns and villages along the west coast of Ireland is actually 10 years older than it is in towns such as Balbriggan, Naas and Navan at the moment. And the reason that is because young people in this state, on average, who go to university and get university jobs, cannot get jobs in the regions, and then they try to get jobs in Dublin, but they can't afford to live in Dublin, so they're forced to live 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away and commute on a daily basis. That's the reality that people are living with. And You know, you wouldn't know it from the debate here, but there is a swell of anger in rural and regional Ireland at the moment in terms of what's happening to the country. And I have to agree with Deputy Staunton in relation to the fairness in the funding. Cavan Monaghan got 10% of the local improvement scheme for 2022, even though it's 2.5% of the population. And you know, while it might suit the narrative for our local constituents to be able to say that, the truth of the matter is every county should be getting a fair shot of it. Strangely as well, Dublin got investment for 63 rural hubs from our Rural Future investment, even though the likes of Mayo and other counties get far less. And that is a strange question as well.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Ring.
Again, I disagree with Deputy Tóibín. He doesn't have his facts right. And I want to say this. Towns like Ballina, Castlebar, Westport, the sporting organisations, they were not able to provide the infrastructure because there's so many people coming back in out of the cities, coming back from England and America and Australia, coming back to live in Mayo. It's a fantastic county. And I tell you one thing, if you saw last week what we did in Ballina, we made the world, we made Mayo proud, we made the world, or made Ireland proud. We could show what can be done, and the people did that. And you know, you talk about funding. When I was Minister, I used to have the same kind of stuff from people over there saying to me, this county didn't get funding, this county didn't get funding. And it was very simple, because some of your local authorities were not applying for funding, and they weren't making the applications. I remember getting attacked about West Cork getting funding, and West Cork, they had no application in and we couldn't get them funding. This Minister is doing a fantastic job. Rural Ireland is alive and well, and people like you will not talk it down. You won't talk it down with your one-heart bands.
Deputy
you won't talk it down with your one-heart bands.
Please, can we some bit of decorum in the House, please? Deputy.
In fairness, can I just say, Deputy, that the funding wasn't there to deliver these projects in the past. We have the Rural Regeneration Fund now, and when Michael Ring was a minister, he set up that fund. And he fought for €1 billion, and I can honestly tell you he fought for it because I watched him and he did a good job. And it's $1 billion, it's a $1 billion fund, and I can tell you, you'd want to get up now and you want to go around the country. In fact, if you even went round your own county of Meath, because I'm going there now in the next few weeks, there's a new library and cultural centre in Trim, and there's a new community hub in Enfield, and there's also a lot of remote working hubs that allow people to live and work in their communities. So I know that Damien English is a big supporter of those projects. I'll be going down to visit them shortly, and they are making a difference. And I'm going round the rural areas and I'm talking to the people, and I can tell you, if you were with me in Abbeyshrew last week in Longford, you would see how appreciative that the communities are that we are providing the funding to allow them to realise their vision and their ambition for their communities. We are empowering communities. We're helping them. Where it's not a top-down approach, it's a bottom-up approach. And when we get the applications in, we work with them to deliver. And just to tell you, just a point of clarification, on the local improvement schemes, there was additional funding given to local authorities who said they could spend it. If you asked for it, you got 70% of what you asked for in the last round. I think it was 70 or 80%. So if Monaghan and Cavan can spend it, well, fair play to them is all I can say.
Thank you, Minister.